What's up guys, Scott here with Wandering the Wilderness, and today what we're going to do is we are going to increase the camouflage of this ATV. Now I had showed a previous video of how I had my patrol or hunter kind of stranded kit set up, how I got different tools and different kind of items that I keep inside of this box. I'm not going to focus on that today. What we're going to focus on is the camouflage of this. Now, this Grizzley 450 already has the camo in the plastic, all right? And I have gone through, and all the areas that were black, I painted with flat green, tan, and brown, very similar to the old woodland camouflage of the military. I even spray painted my rims with the tan. I kind of went lighter color at the bottom, and then as the base, like the tans, and then I did green as the base higher up. All right, so I kind of painted all of that. There isn't any of that obvious black that is just kind of stands out. Tried to break up that pattern. I even painted the seat. All right, now may or may not stick, but at least it broke up the pattern. The next thing that we're going to do on this is I have some like fabric type camo netting. All right, I bought this on Amazon, cheaper kind of Chinese stuff. It's not a reinforced like the military netting, but this will definitely do the job for the intended purposes that I have. So we got the netting, we got zip ties, and I got multicam 550 cord. So I'm going to get this kind of set up the way that I need to, get the material that I'm going to be using rolled out, and then I will get back with you. All right, so first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get my camo netting kind of rolled out. And this one that I bought, it is 5 foot by 20 foot. All right, so the 5 foot is a good measurement for the bottom, but it's not quite enough for what I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this out so that it wraps all the way around the four-wheeler, and I'm going to do that 2 times so that I'll wrap all the way around, get a cut, wrap all the way around, and get another cut. All right, man, so I've got my 2 pieces cut. One I've wrapped around and just have it laying there. The other is off to the side. Now, the one that's off to the side, I actually cut a little shorter, and I'll explain that why in a little bit. Now, what I did was, I have this piece is in one solid circle, all right? And I have a lot of excess right here, and the seam, I want it on the side, okay? So what you're gonna wanna do is make sure that there's plenty of overlap on this, and then use your zip ties, and go ahead and zip tie your camo netting to the base of your frame of your front rack. And I'm going to do that on kind of the 4 corners of the front rack just to get started with, okay? Just so everything's in place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that on all the way around, and then I'll show you the next step. Got it all zip tied to the rack at kind of the 4 corners of the rack on each one. Now, don't pull it tight. You want your camo to be baggy and the netting, and that's what kind of creates that not looking like a structure. You want it to have waves and curves and texture in it. That's what creates the camouflage and breaking up the outline of the ATV. Now, this being right here is my only opening currently on this netting, okay? So the next step that we're going to do on this is going to be from this extra piece that we cut. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to drape it over the top. Of course, it's going to get caught on everything. And again, you want it to be baggy. You want it to have all that texture and not look exactly like a structure, okay? It's okay to have some of that waviness and all that stuff and inside of there. All right, now once you get it laid out kind of like you want your end to kind of line up with your other from your bottom. All right, and then what we're going to do right here is we're going to use our zip ties, and we're going to grab a section of this from the bottom and a section from the top piece. All right, and we're going to go right into that netting, and we're going to grab both of them together and run the zip tie around the front part of the rack. All right, now here's if you got a light bar like I do, all right, you're going to want your bottom section to go over your light bar when you are zip tying it over the front, and I'll explain that in a little bit. It'll make a little more sense once we get this all done, but you're still going to grab your two pieces, bring them kind of together with a little extra, and you're going to want to zip tie that to your four-wheeler's rack. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. You're grabbing the top piece that we just put on and the bottom piece together, grabbing those two pieces, running a zip tie and attaching that to the rack of the four-wheeler. All right, so I'm going to get that attached on both the front and the back and clean up these little tags. So got that all taken care of. The top section draped across, zip tied to the front and the back, as well as just right here on the four sides. All right, now this is still our only opening at this moment, and we have the netting going completely over the top. So obviously we're going to have to fix that. So right here somewhere kind of in a good general area, we're going to go ahead and cut all the way across, and with that we're also going to cut all the way down the opposite side of this netting, because it's still solid on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way across the top, cut down the bottom section. Now we have basically it set up into two parts. We have a front section to include the top and a back section to include the top. So the next thing we're going to do in trying to make a quick deployable type camo is we're going to take the top section, we're going to bring it all the way up to the front, and then we're going to bring the bottom section up as well. And I'm going to take sections of paracord that gives me plenty of room to kind of tie it up onto the front part of the rack, and I'll zip tie this paracord to that as well, so that I'm able to get everything tied up and secured. I'm going to do that in multiple places across the front, and then we're also going to do that on the back rack. So after I kind of get that rolled up and kind of tucked away, I will show you what that looks like as soon as we get that done. All right guys, just wanted to give you a close-up. So I just took about 12 to 18 inches of my paracord, and then I just did a little, split it in half and zip tied it to the frame, and I did that in two areas across the front and then one on each side. All right, so now I'm going to get the net like I want it on the front to let you see the purpose and reasoning behind that. All right, so you see we've rolled up the camo netting from the bottom all the way up to the top, and then we rolled back our top section all the way back to the front. And then using our tie outs that we just zip tied, we just did a quick release knot in the four locations. So now you have your camo netting attached to the front of your rack above the light bar, and you can easily untie it, roll it out down the bottom, and then flip your top piece over the top. And you're going to do the exact same thing on the back section of your camo netting. So we'll get that taken care of, and then we'll go out and test it a little later. Alright guys, just showing you real quick how I got it all tied up. So got that front all done and now have the back all done. Alright, and so probably we'll add another one right here in the center. I did on the front, but as you can see, I basically just did a simple release knot, and that piece of 550 cord is zip tied to the frame. So you know, you kind of got it going all the way around that frame of the four-wheeler. Almost adds a little extra breakup, just like that right there. So we will take this out and see how it does in trying to make this thing disappear. All right, fellas, so camouflage, taking advantage of those dark spots, that natural veg to kind of blend and hide behind. That's the whole point of something like Cobra Hood, sniper veils, taking out that black or kind of some of those unnatural type colors. And you know, I have the I've deployed the camouflage over the ATV, and it is less than 10 feet from me. So I'm going to grab the camera and we're going to take another look at that. Alright guys, just going to do a quick scan of the wood line, and I actually have the bipod kind of fully extended. And can't see anything that looks like a four-wheeler. Now what I did was I took advantage of this right here. We parked behind it and then deployed the camouflage netting. Alright, so obviously it blends, I think, quite well. It looks far less like something of an ATV when you're looking at it from different angles, with the shadowing, the natural shadowing in the back, as well as parking and taking advantage of that natural vegetation. Now I obviously could have parked further back in there and you wouldn't have seen it at all, but I'm also trying to show some of that. So what it does is it breaks up those hard outlines. All right, and so the other thing that I had done is that at the ends in multiple places I just tied a piece of 550 cord, so that way I can tie those sections wherever I want to, for the top, for the front and the back, to kind of break up some of that outline. All right, and then we also have my DMR right here that I brought out with me, that I have also camoed up, and this is the AR10 and 308 from PSA. I did a woodland wrap on the front and on my scope. And then I also did a bit of a paint job throughout that to make my DMR. So I feel like with all of this, it blends quite well in my area, as well as with my sniper veil and my Cobra Hood. You know, so say if you were doing some type of patrol, scout, recon, DMR type setup, or hunting, right? Spot and stalk. Camouflage is key. That breaking up that outline, not looking like a human, is going to get you closer to whatever your target may be. So when it comes to something like an ATV, for using it as a modern Minuteman, you can use something like this to kind of conceal as you go run whatever it is that you need to do. I'm also going to be deploying this come hunting season, which actually archery season starts in 2 weeks. I'm going to be using my ATV to get within a decent walking distance up the mountain from the blind or the stand, and then I can camo it up, hide it at the edge of the woods, get in there and get into my hunting stand, do my hunting, and then I can use this to get back to the vehicle. So just wanted to show you, you know, how I'm setting up this camo netting on my ATV to help with cover and concealment as it comes to a hunting, scouting, patrol type rig. Multifunctional, very beneficial in my opinion to add the camo. I will add a quick caveat. Whenever you are out hunting and you're using an ATV and you're going to camo it up, make sure you put a pin in your whatever hunting app you're using. I use HuntWise. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I use HuntWise. I can drop a pin where my ATV is, go do my hunting, and you know, everything looks a little different when the sun rises, and I get out into the woods about 5 o'clock in the morning. So when you camo it up, by the time you get back to your stand or whatever, you might have, or say you shot an animal and you start tracking, you might get turned around before you can relocate wherever you parked your ATV. So make sure to drop a pin in whatever hunting app that you choose to use. So with all that said, guys, you know, this is the setup that I have for camo netting on my ATV for cover and concealment. So I'm going to wrap all this back up, put it back how I had it originally, and then we'll be ready for whatever may come our way as a scout and hunting type vehicle. You know, I'm going to leave those links in the description box below for the items that I used, and you know, this may give you guys some good ideas when it comes to cover and concealment for a Recon Scout type setup. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless.